Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving headfirst into the massive historical and doctrinal implications of, well, a single, highly contested ancient word. We're looking at a fascinating theological essay called The Two Goats, which really unpacks how we understand the whole concept of atonement. It's an explainer dedicated entirely to uncovering the textual and ancient ritual evidence to find what the original texts actually point to.
Okay, let's just get right to the foundational question here. In what direction does the cross actually move? According to our source material, pretty much every doctrine of the atonement is at its absolute core an answer to this single vector. Does the action of salvation aim at God, trying to satisfy his anger, or, discharge a debt owed to his offended honor? Or does it aim toward us and toward our sin, to carry it away, cleanse it, and heal what was broken? You'd be surprised how much theological confusion throughout history comes down to how this specific direction is understood.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to look at a question of direction, define expiation versus propitiation, dive into the linguistic evidence, explore the Day of Atonement, examine the proof of the scapegoat, and finally discuss the relocation of wrath. Let's jump in.
Section 1. A question of direction. We really have to start right at this fork in the road because the difference between appeasing anger and cleansing defilement shapes, well, literally everything about our view of the biblical narrative.
There is a stark contrast in direction between these two ideas. Propitiation means you're dealing with an offended party who needs to be calmed down. The action moves upward, toward God. Expiation, on the other hand, is beautifully active. It's the actual removal of sin itself. The action moves downward, toward the defilement to cleanse it. The essay we're exploring builds this incredibly compelling case that expiation is the true framework of these ancient texts, focusing heavily on this active, purifying movement.
Moving into Section 2, expiation versus propitiation. Believe it or not, this entire historical debate actually hinges on how we choose to translate a specific word family from the New Testament.
The word at the absolute center of this debate is the Greek noun hilasterion, along with its related verbs and nouns. It's famously found in Romans 3:25. Now, in ordinary, everyday pagan Greek at the time, this word group did sometimes carry the sense of appeasing an offended deity. And because of that, some scholars have naturally argued that it must mean propitiation. But as our source points out, the word itself doesn't automatically settle the matter within a biblical context, which is exactly why different translators often end up bringing their own doctrinal baggage right into the text.
And the way this plays out across different Bibles is wild. It completely depends on the translator's own theology. For example, the King James and NASB chose propitiation. The Revised Standard Version went with expiation. Others, like the NIV, try to, kind of split the difference with paraphrases like atoning sacrifice. The translations shaped by Reformed and Anglican traditions tend to favor propitiation, while others lean away from it. So to figure out what the text actually means, we have to look past translator preferences and find the hard evidence.
Which brings us to Section 3, the linguistic evidence. To find the objective truth, we need to look back at the Greek Old Testament, the Septuagint, and examine the sacrificial vocabulary the authors were actually drawing from.
So here's the crucial detail. When biblical authors used those Greek hilasterion words, they were actually using them to translate a very specific Hebrew word, kippur. The book of Leviticus is absolutely saturated with this word. And the imagery of kippur is consistently that of sin being covered over, wiped away, or cleansed from the sanctuary. It is entirely about removing defilement. It has nothing to do with appeasing anger. When the New Testament authors reached for a Greek word to describe sacrifice, they were reaching into a vocabulary fundamentally grounded in cleansing.
There's a quote from Isaiah 43:25 that beautifully reinforces this linguistic evidence. I am he who blots out your transgressions for my own sake. This absolutely proves that God is the initiator of the cleansing. He's doing it for his own reasons, rather than being some reluctant recipient who needs a bribe to calm down. The imagery of sacrifice in Israel, covering, carrying away, blotting out, it all points to a God who provides the means of purification. The direction of the action is unmistakable. God is the agent of cleansing, and sin is the object being removed.
Section 4. The Day of Atonement. If the linguistic evidence points us toward expiation, this ancient ritual completely cements it visually.
At the heart of this day was a really fascinating, almost strange ritual. Two goats, as identical as physically possible, are brought before the high priest. Lots are cast simultaneously. One lot is marked for the Lord, and the other is marked for Azazel, which designates the scapegoat.
The mechanics of this ritual essentially set the stage for a single event that offers two complementary pictures of one massive reality. The oldest and arguably most fruitful answer to what this ritual means, and you can find this as far back as early thinkers like Origen, is that these aren't two competing mechanisms. Together they form a single stereo image. The slain goat shows the cost and the means of cleansing. Its blood is brought inside to purge the holy place of defilement. But the goat sent away? That shows the actual result. The sins are placed upon it and it is driven out. One shows the blood, the other shows the removal.
Now, for Section 5, proof of the scapegoat. Let's zero in specifically on that goat sent away, because its physical path reveals the undeniable core truth of expiation.
The motion here is entirely centrifugal. It's moving outward, away from God's presence, away from the holy sanctuary, and out into the wilderness. And crucially, this is key in the original biblical command. It is sent away completely alive. If the system was fundamentally about appeasing God, a living goat wandering away makes literally zero sense. But as a visual of sin being carried completely away, it's a stunningly perfect physical dramatization of expiation. The sin is placed upon the animal and it is carried completely away, leaving the camp cleansed and healed.
I mean, it really boils down to this. The scapegoat is sin going away. That simple phrase captures the absolute essence of expiation. The very geography of the ritual encodes the theological reality. Expiation focuses entirely on ensuring the sin is gone, removed from the people, and that is exactly the profound beauty that the scapegoat dramatizes for us.
Finally, Section 6, the relocation of wrath. Now, you're probably wondering, right? If we accept this model of expiation, does it mean God doesn't have wrath against sin at all?
Our source material makes it crystal clear this is not about the abolition of wrath. It's the relocation of it. God absolutely has a settled, holy opposition to everything that corrupts and destroys his creation. But that wrath is resolved not by venting anger upon an innocent victim. Actually, scratch that. It's resolved by removing the corruption itself. The wrath is real, for sure, but what satisfies it is the cleansing away of the very thing it opposes. Expiation doesn't just leave wrath unaddressed, it addresses wrath at the root by taking away its object completely.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to really challenge how you view the true direction of the cross. Is God a reluctant judge demanding a price to relent, or the loving initiator who provides the very means for our cleansing? When we look at the Greek translation of Hebrew words and that physical outward movement of the scapegoat, the evidence for expiation is just profound. It paints a picture of a God who actively provides the means for our healing. I encourage you to explore the source text deeper and see how this framework transforms the way we understand this ancient, pivotal concept. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning and keep exploring.